Okay. Let's see. That's turned off, that's off, and that's off. Double check that one. That's turned on. The background music is now turned on. I think everything is finally ready to go. And here I thought it would actually be out on time. Never happens. Okay then. Let's get going. Hello! Shadowcat back! And we are back to work on Warhammer, which we're not even remotely close to done. I know that when I did like the Wheel of Time was really a lot more work than I thought it was going to be. Warhammer has completely blown it out of the water. This is crazy. However, I do think that we are almost done with the Eldar at least. So, I mean, last time we were a little set back just because I had forgotten that I needed to do vehicle weapons, and so we had to stop and do vehicle weapons first, and then we got to the wraiths, and vehicle weapons took longer than I wanted to, because some of the Eldar weapons are simply insane. Regardless, though, we got that done. Next up, we did the wraiths, or at least we got started on the wraiths. We're going to finish them up just because I thought that we could use one template for all of them. We actually can't. We got to make separate templates for all of them. So we got to go through and do that. But once we get done with that, we'll knock out the wraith weapons real quick because they only have a few of them. If I take a look at the Eldar weapons, vehicle weapons, where were they? Down, 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 down. There it is, yeah. So, Eldar Wraith weapons, they've got the Wraith cannons, Sun cannons, Ghost glaives, Scatter shields, and a Psychic lance. Should be pretty easy to do, because I do believe the Wraith cannons are similar to the Distortion cannon, and we already did the rules for that, so we're good. We're good on that. Otherwise, though, once we get done with that, we will get to work on the paths of the Ascianari, and that's going to be interesting. The paths, as I envision them, are going to have a progression to them. So much like when you have a profession or a class at level 1, and like every 3 levels after, you will get a particular bonus on, say, your attack because you're a fighter, or you know, on every 3rd level or every 4th level you get to pick a new talent because you're some kind of rogue. I think the paths are going to have to be like that, so we'll have to identify what the paths do, and then we'll have to figure out what kind of progression there is. We're going to have to dovetail that into the actual Eldar race, which is probably going to put their racial points up even higher. And we're already looking at a race that's got already a +2 or a +3 level adjustment. If I have to push it up to like a +4, I may actually have to go back and redo some weapons. But it's just the Eldar are that much stronger than literally every other race. I hate to say it, but it's starting to look like if there's anyone who could give an Adeptus Astartes a run for their money, Eldar might actually be capable of doing it. Like, the Adeptus Astartes are insane. Their durability, their endurance, their constitution, their strength, their skills, they're all top-notch. I mean, they are the best you could get with genetic engineering and programming. The Eldar are just good. So I don't know how this is going to turn out. Anyway, though, before we get started on that, checking the chat, I see Blizz is in the chat. Hello, Blizz. Good to see you. I see JP is in the chat. You and I are going to have words. Because I'm still waiting on you in the Discord server. I am this close to getting a gaming group started. And I'm waiting on you. I gotta make sure that everyone's on the same page for the same rough time slot. And then I can make a new channel for all the people that are going to be in that game, and we can start working on details. So, I need to catch you in the Discord. Because we are going to do this! Looking forward to doing this. I want to roll some dice. I haven't rolled dice in forever. I'm having more fits than some guy outside of Atlantic City. Okay, I want to get back into running games. It's weird. Usually most groups are desperate to find a DM. They're just like, hey, I want to play like Dungeons and Dragons, but we gotta have someone that runs the game. Well, I don't want to run the game. We gotta find someone who actually knows what they're doing. Here I am. I am a DM or a GM, whatever you want to call it, and I'm trying to get a group together. Maybe I should put out a want ad in the paper. Does anyone still read the paper? I don't think they still read the paper. Anyway, though, moving on. We're going to need to bring up our stuff. So we're going to need our browser. We are going to need our spreadsheet. And we got everything we need here. So, just start off, or pick up from last time, we had just made a wraith. Now, wraiths are actually not that complicated. They're really not. I have not seen anything about psyker wraiths. I'm not sure if a wraith can be a psyker or not. And so I'm assuming for right now that they cannot be. That being said, though, I mean, the Spirit Stone is their psychic impression. Wraithbone is crafted using psychic energy, and it's a conduit for psychic energy. I'm not sure if they can use psychic abilities yet or not. What we did establish, though, is that they have Wraith Sight. They cannot see in normal EM, the normal EM spectrum. They have to see through the warp. They have to basically see with their psychic senses. And so they treat everything as though it has concealment. And of course, obviously, the Wraith has a Spirit Stone. And technically speaking, if you were to just unplug the Spirit Stone, technically the Wraith would be dead. So, don't let anyone do that. But one of the things that we don't have on here is we did not account for them being a large construct. I gave them +2 strength and +2 dexterity, but that's going to have to be adjusted. Oh, and JP says, finally responded in the Discord. Okay, hold on a sec. I gotta go look. What does it say? Yes, available. Excellent. I will put together a new channel for everybody who is going to be part of the game, and we can start working on fleshing it out. It's going to be fun. There's going to be phasers, and there's going to be starships, and there's going to be Klingons, and all kinds of things. It's going to be fun. Okay. But, for right now, we're doing this. We're doing Warhammer. Now, where is my browser? There it is. Alright, first things first. I need to make some... JP says he posted at 11 a.m. yesterday. That's less than 24 hours. I wanted responses in 24 minutes. I am a cruel and unfeeling god. Alright, game mastering, I do believe. And that will be under combat, space, reach, threatening. Here we go. Alright, size modifiers. Now, when it says size modifier, I do believe that that is strength, but I could be wrong. Gotta make sure. Size modifier is footnote 1.4. Oh, no, not 1.4, 1 and 4. Okay, so creature's size modifier applies to its attacks and its armor class. I think that actually means damage. I'm looking for anything that it would be a bonus for strength. Actually, I think I have an answer for this, and it's going to be magic, because my solution to everything is magic. Large. Enlarge person. Okay. This spell causes the instant growth of a humanoid creature, doubling its height, multiplying its weight by 8. It increases their size category to the next larger one, so medium becomes large, which is what we're doing. They get a +2 size bonus to strength, a -2 size penalty to dexterity, and a -1 penalty on attack rolls and AC due to the increased size. Okay. That's fine, actually. That's exactly what we wanted. So, ability modifiers. I'm going to move this down. So that's going to be a +4 strength and a +0 dexterity. So honestly, I'll just remove this entirely. Okay, and then it was... Oh, right. -1 attack and -1 AC. And I suppose that's more for me than anything else. I just need to know that because this is going to be the Wraith Blade and Wraith Guard. So, Wraith Blade, Wraith Guard. And the reason we got to do that is because we still got to do the Wraith Lord, the Wraith Knight, and the Wraith Titan. So, next up is Wraith Lord. And almost all of this is going to be the same. The only thing that's really going to change is going to be the ability score modifiers. So, that was a large. Next up is huge. Yeah, large, huge, then gargantuan, colossal. So for huge, that's going to change another 2. So that's going to be a +6 strength and a -2 dexterity. These will become -2 and -2. Everything else can stay the same for now, as far as I know. Then we have Wraith Knight. It was Wraith Knight, right? Yes. This is going to end up being a +8 strength and a -4 dexterity. This will become a 3. This will become a 3. Just because, I mean, these things are getting pretty huge. And then the last one is a Wraith Titan. And for the Wraith Titan, we're going to go up to a +10 in strength and a -6 in dexterity. And these will be 4s. The only other thing that I absolutely have to do is I have to adjust the HP. So the large ones, I'm going to go ahead and give 8. Wraith Lords, we're going to kick up to 10. Wraith Knights are going to get 12 and 14. Alright, there we go. Almost sneezed. Didn't sneeze, though. Again, this is a professional operation, and sneezing is unprofessional. Alright, so I think that works. That means that every turn I do believe they're going to get one of the... Or no. I think that's just starting. I think that might be just starting. I think it's base hit points. But okay, there we go. That's our wraiths. They're pretty much just the same thing. They just get bigger. Again, I'm not sure if they can actually use any kind of psychic abilities. I can look. Wraithbone Infinity Circuits. Wraith Guard. Okay, they are some of the Ghost Warriors. And here we go. So they are a Wraithbone robotic construct utilized by the Eldari. Of course they are. Wraith Lords. It sounds like if anybody was going to use psychic abilities, it would be these guys. So, summoned into being by the necromantic processes, accompanied by some of these heroes of the past. Yes. The mind of an Astunari or seer is like a bright beacon in the murk of real space, a guiding light. There are many different forms that have been devised by them. If the animating force within it is specialized in close assault when it is alive, it will seek to tear apart its enemies with the swing of a sentient scimitar known as a ghost glaive. We're going to get to that in a minute. Let's see. If it's animated by a spirit specializing in support, it'll use things like a shrieking catapult or the dire... Or yeah. Either way, but this says nothing about psychic abilities. What if I just search for Psi? Let's see. No. Psychic links. Let's see. The great measure of control afforded by this Gestalt mind gives the pilot mastery over the construct's psychically powered weapon systems and affords the War Machine acrobatic grace. But that says nothing about them being able to use psychic powers. Let's see. Oversized weapons of the Wraith Guard allow each of them to focus a portion of their psychic power upon a fixed target. The arcane beams of these weapons open localized rifts between warp space and the material universe. But I don't see anything about them being able to actually use psychic powers, so this is not something we need to add. But it is something to keep in mind. I guess that means that when your Eldari dies, whatever psychic power you have, and let's keep in mind that all Eldari are psychic to some degree, you'll lose your psyker abilities. It sucks, but that is what it is. There's only so much I can do about it. Okay then. We're done with the Wraiths themselves. Let's take care of their actual weapons. So, Wraith cannons then. And for that, we're going to come over here. So, I want to find technology. Yes, let's see, their armory. Should I go there? Craft World Armory. Ah, vehicles. Here we go. JP says, Wraith lore brings a mental image of Sauron with a leashed Wraith hovering 10 feet above him. I don't think it'd be Sauron, though. I think it would be Saruman. Because it would be Saruman, or the Seer, who is actually leading this giant thing into battle. Okay, now from here we should be able to get to the weapons that we need. Alright, so standard Wraith Lord equipment include 2 Power Fists. That is not something that I had on here. But I'm going to add it just because we need to. So, Power Fist. It's a power weapon, so we already know what it does. Let's see. With flamers or shuriken cannons attached to the sides. It does not say heavy flamer. So, I'm not sure if that's the one it means. Although it does say shuriken cannon. So, perhaps we do have to do that. Have we done a vehicle flamethrower yet? Hold on, let's check the Tau. The Tau Arsenal. I don't think we ever did. Okay, then we'll have to do a vehicle flamer as well. So we'll just put in here vehicle flamer. Oh, JP also says psychic, psychotic. Where's the line anymore? There is no line for the Eldar, okay? There is not a line. They found the line. They literally annihilated the line. I mean, they hate that line. They do. They hate it. Okay, so Wraith Cannon then. The range on this thing, let's take a look. Power Fist, Flamer, Shuriken Cannons, Star Cannons. Where even is the Wraith Cannon? That was a Wraith Lord, maybe a Wraith Seer? For combat, a Wraith Seer is always equipped with a Wraith Spear and Wraith Shield. They may also get a Bright Lance, Scatter Laser, Eldar Missile Launcher, Star Cannon, or D Cannon. Wait, hold on. Hold the phone. Their Psyker abilities are also quite potent, allowing them to assist friend and hamper foe. This is a Ghost Warrior. It says that it's got Psyker abilities. Alright. Apparently they do get to keep their Psyker abilities then. It's the answer that we were looking for. Okay then. Not seeing it there. Let's check the Wraith Knight then. Do you have it? Heavy Wraith Cannons. Yes, there we go. Okay. The Heavy Wraith Cannon is a large version of the standard Wraith Cannon carried by Wraith Knights. Oh, here we go. So, Wraith Cannon is an Eldar Vortex weapon, deadly potency similar to a D Cannon. Awesome. That's what I wanted to know. So, it is just another Vortex weapon. The real question now, I think, is how do I differentiate? Like, what makes a D Cannon different from a Wraith Cannon? So it says here, the Wraith Cannon is an Eldar Vortex weapon with the deadly potency similar to the D Cannon. Even this is saying there's really not that much of a difference. Wielded by a Wraith Guard powered by the psychic energy of its Spirit Stone, the Wraith Cannon opens a small temporary rift between real and warp space. Oh, actually, you know what the difference is? I know what the difference is. The difference between them is this is literally handheld. There is... I can't say there's not a way that you could not, or you could mount this on a vehicle, because technically you could. If we go into Ultimate Vehicles again, and we look at some of the upgrades they get. That's vehicle weapons. Let's see, sensor lock, no, that's feats. That's more feats and luxury details. Here we go. Yeah, a weapon mount. I believe that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah. A weapon mount. This allows a standard weapon to be mounted on a vehicle. Heavy weapons require 2 weapon mounts. This can be combined with a vehicle weapon turret. Any handheld weapon can be used on this mount. So technically speaking, and just follow me on this one, you could have, say, what's one of the smaller ones? You could have one of these medium bikes, like a jet bike, or maybe a Viper or Raptor. They could go into the fight, and instead of having vehicle weapons, they could have, say, a Wraith weapon attached to it using a weapon mount instead of a vehicle weapon. This would allow a Wraith that was going into battle along with, so you could have the jet bike cruising along and the Wraith running with it. You could have, if anything were to happen to the jet bike, the Wraith could then just grab the weapon and go to work. That's the difference. Okay, and that's a pretty good difference. So, something that we're going to need to add here, I think, is going to be Wraith weapons. I'm going to say oversized handheld weapons. And the funny thing about that is, and the reason why I really have to phrase it that way, something that most players do not realize is that there are different sizes of weapons. You don't really see it in Starjammer, or Starfighter rather, but you do see it in Pathfinder. If we come over here to equipment, here we go, equipment and weapons, here we go. When we look at the weapons here, you can see that there is damage numbers for a small weapon or a medium weapon. Okay? Now, obviously, this is because in Pathfinder, you have, 6, 7 primary races. You've got humans, elves, dwarves. They're all medium size. Then you've got humans, elves, dwarves, and half-orcs, who are all medium size. Then you've got gnomes and halflings, who are small. And so in order for them to use weapons appropriately, they have to have weapons suited for them. The problem with that is a medium-sized dagger for a gnome is basically just a knife for anyone who is normal-sized. And so we have different sets here. This does not actually preclude, however, a gnome from wielding a medium-sized sword. And I wonder if the rules are in here. Extra damage, creating new weapons. No, it does not say. Oh, but here we go. We've got this. So, damage. These weapon columns give the damage dealt by a weapon on a successful hit. The column are labeled damage small for small weapons, damage medium for medium weapons. But it also goes up. So let's say we use a longsword. Okay? A medium longsword does 1d8 damage. It's right here. So a medium longsword does 1d8 damage. A small longsword does 1d6 damage. And if you're familiar enough with Pathfinder or Dungeons and Dragons, 1d6 also happens to be the damage done by a medium-sized short sword. So, if you have a long sword and it's medium size, you can do 1d8. But if you pick up a large long sword, you can use that. Maybe it belonged to this great big old pure-blooded burly orc, or maybe it was a giant of some kind, whatever it was. You now have this long sword that is like 10 feet long. Now, you know it's a long sword because even though it's really long, the hilt to blade ratio says that this thing could be used one-handed. It could be used two-handed, but it could also be wielded one-handed. That weapon, that large longsword, is going to do 2d6 damage. And just because you're the one wielding it does not actually mean that its damage goes down. You do take a penalty if you try to use a weapon that is too big for you. And I don't remember what the penalty is. It might be a -2, it might be a -4. Let's see, gladiator weapons, masterwork weapons, creating new weapons. Let's see, maybe if I just look for 2. Weapon rules. Whether weapons are used as tools. No, I can't find it here. Yeah, I don't know what the penalty is, but you can actually use a weapon that is too big for you. That means that when we're looking at things like this Wraith Cannon, technically speaking, so long as you are strong enough to lift it, and it means that you got to look at like the bulk of it, and we'll probably have to factor in the bulk on this. Technically speaking, you can use it. I may have to move this actually, because we may actually have to get this in here. Yes, I know it's going to replace things, but there we go. Okay, we're going to go with that. There's nothing stopping you from just picking this thing up and pulling the trigger on it. So this is going to be, since it is a large weapon, it is going to be a, well, literally wielded by, okay, so the Wraith Cannon can be wielded by a Wraith Guard. The Heavy Wraith Cannon is wielded by a Wraith Knight. So the Wraith Cannon, this is going to be a large Wraith weapon. Level and price, I honestly have no idea at this moment. Damage, however. So, damn, how are we even going to figure this one out? The damage for this is gonna be similar to the distortion cannon. However, I think we're going to have to change some of these numbers. I may have to rewrite this entirely because this is saying a 20-foot increment, and it's using 2 damage dice. Since the, well, actually, since we gotta kind of figure this out. We really do gotta figure this out. Oh, JP says being hit by a halfling with a longsword is going to give you emotional damage. I mean, you say that, but did you watch The Lord of the Rings? The halflings actually did pretty good. Yes, halflings and hobbits are the same thing. As a matter of fact, if you really want to call your halfling a hobbit, you can do that. Seriously, there's no rules against it. Halflings, hobbits, interchangeable. There you go. You learned a thing today. Okay. How do I even want to approach this? What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to make the heavy wraith cannon identical to the distortion cannon. The difference is going to be that the heavy wraith cannon is going to be a huge handheld weapon. The rules are going to be basically the same, with the only difference being that it says here, creatures and vehicles caught in the gravity well take damage equal to the weapon's damage and must make a reflex save, so I will have to figure out what the damage is, but the rest of the rules will be fine. Now, interestingly enough, I actually kind of do know what the damage here is. So the distortion cannon here is a vehicle weapon. I didn't say what, or no, wait, here we go. What size? Large. Okay. It's a large vehicle weapon. That means it's doing 2d8 damage. 2d8 damage means that it does a maximum of 16, but then it's times 5. 16 times 5 is 80. Okay, I can work with that, actually. I can work with that. Damage here. The damage here is going to be 8d 10 bludgeoning. Actually, I'm just going to put B. Okay. So, the Wraith Cannon is going to be on par with the vehicle weapon. Well, no, actually... do I want to do that? Do I want to do that? Or do I want to make it a little bit smaller? Because I also have to scale the, I gotta scale the heavy Wraith Cannon. I'm thinking the heavy Wraith Cannon needs to be scaled to the D Cannon, so we're going to kick the damage on this thing down to 4d10. We're going to cut everything in half. Okay, the range on this thing... I didn't actually set the range on it. Screw you, past me. I'll figure the range out later, I guess. Take that, future me. Critical. None. There is no critical. Capacity, though. Did I assign a capacity to this? I did. I said 20 rounds. The capacity for this, then, is... I don't think they have anything less than that. Actually, I think the minimum is 20. However, I can cut that in half by saying the usage is going to be 2. Bulk. Now, keep in mind, this is an oversized weapon for a Wraith. So, the bulk for a heavy weapon is usually 2, I think. So, we're going to scroll down. It's rifles, more rifles, machine guns. Is this heavy weapons? Yeah, this is heavy weapons. Bulk. 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 3. The artillery laser is a 3. 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. A couple of 3s in there. Okay, here's what we're going to do. The bulk for this thing, I'm going to be really, really unfair. The bulk for this thing is 5. I'm going to take the 3 and I'm going to go up 2. Okay, special, this is going to be a singularity weapon. So, singularity and gravity well. Okay then. That is the Wraith Cannon, and since we are here, we will also do the heavy Wraith Cannon. This is going to be a huge Wraith weapon. Once we get out of this, this will go pretty quickly. It's just these weapons are insane. So copy, paste, and then heavy Wraith Cannon. The damage for this one is going to be 5d10, not G, B. Bludgeoning, critical, none. Capacity is going to be 20. Usage is going to be 1, just like the D cannon. The bulk, however, is going to be 7. And singularity, gravity, well. And it's going to be 7 bulk because it's going to be a huge Wraith weapon. Now, just as a reminder, in Starfinder, your carrying capacity is equal to your strength. So if you have a 16 in strength, you can carry 16 bulk. Now, as far as the Wraith goes, the Wraith will have whatever strength, I guess well, whatever you roll for it, really. But then, here it is, it's under this. For a Wraith Knight, it's a +8 strength. The bonus you get for being a Wraith Knight literally covers for it. Alright. So that takes care of that. So we can remove that. Next up is a Sun Cannon. Sun Cannon. This is also going to be, I believe, a huge Wraith weapon because it's carried by a Wraith Knight. So, huge Wraith weapon. Except I don't want to capitalize like that. Why can't I spell today? Alright. Sun Cannon. Level and price, I really have no idea, but damage, we'll find out as soon as we find out what exactly it does. Alright, so, Wraith Knights use Sun Cannons. What is a Sun Cannon? It is a heavy Eldar weapon mounted on Wraith Knights. These plasma weapons are capable of obliterating an entire platoon of human soldiers in a single blast. So, what I think we're going to do is Since this would normally be... if we're scaling things appropriately, this weapon would be the equivalent of a huge vehicle weapon. If a large vehicle weapon does D8s, then a huge vehicle weapon would do D10s. If we gave it 4 dice, that would be 4 D10s, which would then be multiplied by 5. So that's 40 times 5 would be upwards of 200 damage. We obviously have to reduce that. And what I'm thinking is... damage dice do not usually use d20s, so the damage for this thing is going to have to be 20d10. Because it is plasma, this is going to be electrical and fire. Now, the range on this thing. We can go ahead and borrow from our heavy weapons. So there's shock, projectile, plasma. Here we go. So plasma ranges are about 100 feet. I'm going to go ahead and, since this is for a medium, we're going medium, large, huge. I'm going to triple it. Or do I want to go double-double? Double-double. We're going to make it 400. So it's going to go from 100 to 200, 200 to 400. Range is going to be 400 feet. Critical, these usually burn, but some of them blind. Since the Starheart cannon blinds, I'm going to give it these. Critical is going to be blind. Capacity... yeah, we'll go ahead and give it 100. We can carry it. Usage is 1. Bulk is going to be 7. Special. Since we're doubling things... this cannon says that it explodes in a 15-foot radius. But it doesn't double. It only steps up by 5. And even then, the basic one is 5 foot, then 10 foot, 10 foot, then 15 foot. Those are all mediums. If I step it up by 10 feet for each size category, that would then be 25 feet radius for a large, 35-foot radius for a huge. Okay, so bright and explode 35 feet. Now that sounds extreme, but keep in mind that this thing is... if you're fighting this thing, you're either going to come prepared or you should be rethinking what you're doing. I don't mind punishing people for biting off more than they can chew. Sometimes, you know, retreat is the better option. Oh, and let's see. JP says, I'd rather be a Kender. That's from when we were talking about races. I don't actually know what a Kender is. Is that one of the new races from 5e? I'm not as familiar with 5e. There's a lot of races in there, and I don't know half of them. The only races that I know from 5e are like the normal ones, and the ones that we've seen before, like you can play as things like centaurs or orcs or trolls or whatever. And, of course, I know tabaxis. Go ahead, ask me how I know. But no, I'm not familiar with a Kender. Alright, Ghost Glaive. This is going to be a huge Wraith weapon. Alright, what is a Ghost Glaive then? Gotta speed things up here. Ghost Glaive. So, it's a heavy Eldar weapon mounted on Wraith Knights and Wraith Lords. The sword is encrusted with spirit stones that contain the souls of long-dead Eldar warriors. They communicate with the Wraith Lord's twin pilots, both the alive and dead. Wait, Wraith Lords are piloted? Okay, we may have to look into that. Helping them deliver precise and deadly strikes against the enemy. The power of these great blades is such that a Wraith warrior armed with it is able to destroy even Daemon Lords in single combat. Basically, it's a smart sword. Okay, so this thing literally just gets advantage on its attacks. It's a giant sword, don't get me wrong, but that's all it does. So, in that same vein, what I think we're going to do is, I'm going to give this 20d10 slashing damage. The range, I have to go through and just say that the range is none, okay? It's whatever you can reach. Critical, it doesn't really say anything about any kind of special effect. So as far as I'm concerned, this is just a longsword that does extra damage. So, like, here is the best longsword in the game. The Dimensional Slice Longsword. It does 14d8s. It has nothing special about it. It's analog. So, here's what we're going to do. Critical, none. Capacity, none. Usage, none. Bulk is still going to be 7. Special is going to be analog, but guided. Now, what do we mean by guided? I'm going to go ahead and say, with an installed Spirit Stone, gain advantage on attack rolls. Oh, and not just attack rolls, advantage on attack rolls and versus concealment. There we go. I mean, it's a pretty simple concept. It's just, you know, sword helps you hit things. Alright, that's easy. I expected this thing to be more like the Dire Sword, except bigger. I'll take it. Easy is nice. Okay. Scatter Shield. This is going to be a huge Wraith weapon. We'll paste that in, and let's find out what the Scatter Shield is. Okay, Scatter Shield. It's an Eldar shield mounted on Wraith Knights and other constructs, frequently alongside the Ghost Glaive. Piece of protective equipment helps allow the Wraith Knight to even engage mighty Chaos Demon Lords in single combat. Interesting! It is literally just a giant shield. That is cool! That is very cool! Because we get to do something different this time. So instead of going to weapons, we're going to go to armor. Oh, and JP says Kender, a kleptomaniac halfling, but as a race. They're unaware of it themselves. You know, I think I might have had one of those in my party once. We didn't call it a Kender. We called him an asshole. Seriously. He put a lot of points into stealth, a lot of points into sleight of hand, and he would constantly lift things off of the party members and then just throw them off the road. In particular, he always started with shovels. Just because he could. I said, you know what? I'm going to penalize you so hard for trying to steal a shovel. And he's like, I'm going to do it anyway. And then he did it. And then he threw the shovel off the side of the road. And I'd be like, okay, you threw the shovel off the side of the road. Everybody roll perception. Did anybody hear that? And of course they would all fail. So it's like, okay. And then they get to the next town. It's like, where's my shovel? It's like, I pull out my shovel to dig a hole. It's like, you don't have a shovel. It's like, what do you mean I don't have a shovel? I bought a shovel in the last town. I said you don't have a shovel. It's like, how do I not have a shovel? I said you go through your pack. You take your pack off. You open your pack. You look through your pack. There is no shovel. How is that possible? You're looking at the wrong person, okay? Don't blame me for this. Your shovel is gone. Figure it out. Grab a stick. Yeah, it was a thing. Okay. Anyway, here we go. Shields. Oh, Tux is in the chat. Tux says there is no dirt-moving spoon. I don't even know if they had spoons. I don't think anyone thought that far ahead. I like to push realism in my games, but I do realize that people have limits. And so making people keep track of things like flatware for their pack to make sure that you have a fork, a knife, and a spoon, people usually get a little upset at that. Alright, what do we got? Tactical Shield Paragon. Shield bonuses. How do we read this? Let's see. Shield bonus is a new bonus type. It represents having a mobile physical barrier. They do not stack with one another. They do not stack with the bonuses gained from cover. So how do I read this? Maximum dex bonus. Oh, the first number represents the bonus granted when the shield is wielded. The second is when aligning the shield to protect against a specific foe. Okay, so you can use it as a passive... Okay, I got it. It is a passive armor class bonus or an active armor class bonus. I like it. It's cool. So a lot of these are just +1, +2, +1, +2, or +1, +3. Okay. So here's what I'm gonna do. Because this is a huge shield, well, okay, no, I take it back. I'm giving it the same bonuses, and the reason I'm giving it the same bonuses is simple. It is an absolutely huge shield being wielded by an absolutely huge soldier. Like, if you could put this down next to a regular person, it would provide them with total cover. Under the circumstances, though, it doesn't. So, what we're gonna do... So I'm gonna copy this. Remove that. Paste this. We're gonna go ahead and grab the format painter. And we're just going to paint across there like that. and then we can fill it in. Okay. So, scatter... shield. Level and price, I don't know. Shield bonus, though, is going to be a +1. +4. I'll be generous on this one. The maximum dexterity bonus doesn't actually come with one. Max dex, I guess that means that it doesn't actually affect your dexterity. Or you just don't have a dexterity. I'm not sure. Okay, any excess dexterity doesn't remove that. It does not say. Yeah, I think that just means there is no maximum dexterity bonus and there is no armor check penalty, which is fine. The bulk is going to be pretty big. We're going to make this, since the heaviest ones here seem to be a 2. I'm going to go ahead and just say no maximum dex, no armor check. The bulk is going to be 4. And upgrade slots will be 2. So there we go. We now have a vehicle-sized shield. Not going to lie. Didn't see that one coming. Okay, next, Psychic Lance. And what even is this? So, Ghost Glaives, Scatter Shields, and other heavy weapons. Wait, hold on. Oh, we gotta look at this. So, while gigantic and heavily armed with a mixture of heavy Wraith cannons and cannons of other heavy weapons, the Wraith Knight's advanced design still allows it to be nimble enough to run through a scattered city. The shell of a Wraith Knight houses the stones of the dead in much the same way as a Wraith Lord and Wraith Guard. However, Wraith Knights differ from their lesser cousins as they also hold a living Eldar pilot within. Oh my. So... these guys do not count as a race then. Wraith Lord and Wraith Guard have no pilots. Wraith Knight and Wraith Titan do. Okay, these pilots are rare and unusual warriors who were each born a twin. The psychic link between an Eldar and their twin is like no other. This bond allows them to sense proximity, mood, and even thoughts of their counterpart. If the twin were to die, the surviving brother or sister will often fade away in sympathy. Sometimes, when such a division takes place, the surviving twin will sacrifice what is left of his life to pilot a Wraith Knight. The essence of the dead twin is transferred into a spirit stone and attached to the machine, while the surviving sibling is put into a near-permanent trance within the cockpit. The clarity of thought provided by the living twin ensures the construct moves with the speed typical of a living Eldar, while the psychic link of the departed sibling allows him to commune with the animating forces, the animating forces of his twin, but also the spirits of former pilots of the construct. The great measure of control afforded by this mind gives the pilot mastery over the Wraith Knight's psychically powered weapon systems and acrobatic grace. Oh, wow. Okay, that changes things. So, Wraith Knights, not a race. They are an actual vehicle. And a very, very specific vehicle to boot. Honestly, I could probably do with just erasing Wraith Knights in general. They would be more of a set piece than anything else, I think. But we can still keep it. We'll still keep the stuff. We're going to continue with this just because we got to make these We got to make the weapons. As for the Phantom Titan, one of the largest Eldar Titans, Phantom Titan pulsars, distortion cannons, power glaive, pulse laser, hollow fields, star cannons. Yeah, we've seen all of that. Where's the psychic lance? Was it up here? Souls of these dead psychers can merge their psychic powers, amplifying the Wraithbone structure. Here we go. The most feared weapon, the Psychic Lance. So this is a Titan class weapon. This thing is enormous, it's huge, it's awful, it's scary. The Psychic Lance uses a short burst of psychic energy directed through the crystal mounted in the machine's head. The resonance set up in the crystal acts to wipe out aggressive instincts from creatures in the area of effect. This weapon was originally used by the Exiles to pacify local wildlife, but the effect can be amplified to launch devastating assaults on the minds of sentient enemies. An enlarged version of the Psychic Lance, also known as the Psy Lance, is used on Warlock Titans. So, let's see. Yeah, we're gonna make this, but this is basically, well, this is the last weapon here. Since this goes in a Titan, this is going to be a Gargantuan Wraith weapon. Oop, nope, not that one. So we're going to copy that, paste that down there. I'll scroll up, that way it's still visible. And let's see if we can build this thing. So, Psychic Lance. Damage. Near as I can tell, this thing doesn't actually do damage. It says the resonance setup wipes out the aggressive instincts from creatures in the area of effect. So, again, we have a weapon that does not do any physical damage, just psychic damage. So how do we want to do this then? It doesn't say that necessarily stops them, it just stops them from wanting to fight. I might have something for that, actually. I might have something for that. So the damage doesn't exist. Range we'll figure out in a minute. Critical doesn't exist. I'm just going to use that, actually. Now, I want to go into spells. Because a staple of all tabletop games has always been charm. Probably going to be here. So let's see if it's in here. Charm person. Here we go. So, Charm Person, standard action, one humanoid creature, duration is 1 hour per level, will negate, spell resistance, yes, here we go. The charm makes a humanoid creature regard you as a trusted friend and ally. Treat the target's attitude as friendly. If the creature is currently being threatened or attacked by your allies, however, it receives a +5 bonus to its saving throw. The spell does not enable you to control the charmed creature as if it were an automaton. It is unlikely to attempt to harm you, but is also unlikely to attack any of its true friends or allies. You can also try to give the target suggestions, but you must first succeed at a opposed charisma check. Okay. We don't need it to be friendly. We just need them to stop. So we don't need to move them all the way up to friendly, just to neutral. To that end, does not say a whole lot about... Wait, hold on. No, it does, actually. It is a close combat weapon with a projectile wave attack used by Eldar Knights and Titans. Close combat means short range. Wave attack means cone. So, this thing is going to... capacity, I'm going to go ahead and say... It's got 40 capacity. Okay, 40 shots. Bulk is going to be 8 because this is gargantuan. Maybe though. Just say it's actually used by knights. We'll back it up and make it knight size. So this is just a huge weapon then. Special. The special, of course, is going to be... What is it? Blast? Sonic Lance. No, here. Where was it? Bright Lance, Dark Cannon, Scatter Laser. Yeah, Blast is what I want. So it's going to be a Blast. And it is going to be Charm. For right now. Range, I'll figure range out. Actually, I'll figure range out right now. What's the range on the Scatter Laser? The range on the Scatter Laser is 60 feet. And the Scatter Laser is a... Oh, any size. So this thing goes all the way down to small. Or rather medium, I guess. No, small is fine. So... Small, 60 feet... I'm going to go ahead and call this 100 feet. Just because I like the number. Okay, so it is a 100-foot charm. Now, as for the save that you get. So, a will throw negates. And what is that will save going to be? I don't know. Hold on. Let's go to magic and spells. Spell level, variable spells, caster level checks. Concentration interrupted spell, spell results. What do I get to make a will save? Size bonuses, no, I don't want that. I don't want that either. How do we calculate the saves or the save DCs in here? Saving throw, okay. So, saving throw entry in a or tells you what kind it is, fortitude, or let's see. Most often, a successful saving throw will negate it. That's fine, whatever. That doesn't tell me what it actually is. Alright, what if I try... I guess it'd be a Witch Warper that would get those. So, Witch Warper spells. The difficulty class for the saving throw against your spell is 10, plus the spell's level, plus your charisma modifier. Okay. And that's fine. For most things. In this case, this is a weapon, not a person, so it's going to have to be static. So, here's what we're going to do. It's going to be 10 plus the spell level, which was... It says M1, so I'm guessing it's just level 1. Mystic spell list. Where is it? Okay, yeah. It's a level 1 spell. So that's 10 plus 1 is 11. And it would normally be plus charisma. In this case, I'm going to have to go with... Well... I mean, you need to have a spirit stone attached to this thing anyway, right? Yeah, okay, so... Charm. It is a will save DC 11 plus the Spirit Stone Charisma. There we go. So whatever Spirit Stone happens to be there, that's how it's going to work. And after that, it's just a matter of point it, let out the blast wave, and see who actually falls under its spell. It's oddly enough, for a Titan weapon, completely non-lethal. Alright, so, on fail, treat all Eldar as non-threatening. And that's it. Alright, that is the last Wraith weapon as far as I'm concerned. There's a Power Fist and a Vehicle Flamer, but there's not much we really have to do about that. A Power Fist is just a really big power weapon, and a Vehicle Flamer is just a Vehicle Flamer. I'll do those later. So, we can say goodbye to Wraiths in general. The last thing that we have to do, the one thing that I've been trying to get to, is we have to get to the actual Asuyanari paths. That's a Wraith Guard. Here we go. Alright, so I know it's kind of a rather hard segue, but it's what we got to do. Alright, where are they? First thing that we're going to need to do is I'm going to need a new page. It's going to be after the current one. It's going to be Asuryani Paths. So, anatomy and physiology, no. Technology, no. Here we go. Paths of the... Asuyanari Paths. Okay. Let's read. As protection against the lure of excess and to guard against the recurrence of the fall of the Eldari, the people of the craft worlds adhere to a set of strictures known as the Asuryani Path. Through the rigid emotional discipline of the path, they master their inclination towards sensation-seeking, instead focusing their prodigious intellects and energies upon the pursuit of one specific goal. Since the fall, those Eldari who fled upon the craft worlds have faced their inescapable doom. The battles they have fought in the name of survival have been many and violent, yet their most important struggle is a spiritual one, for the nature of their psyche remains fundamentally unchanged. As ever they were, the Asuyanari are prone to emotional extremes. Perhaps the greatest difference between the ancient Eldari and their descendants is that the craft worlders have learned to fear wanton experience, shunning the indulgences of their past. To ensure temptation is put behind them, the philosophy, often called I can't pronounce that. It's called the Path. Governs every aspect of the craft world Eldari life, enabling the Asuryani to harness their emotional and intellectual intensity safely without jeopardizing themselves or those around them. In every adult life, every Asuryani chooses for themselves a discipline that they then make their task to master to the exclusion of all else. Each discipline is a path unto itself, and each path may necessitate further choices and specializations. Once the Asuryani has walked a path for long enough, they choose another, and then another. Though they forsake each path in turn, their soul is nourished by the experience upon it. An Asuryani may tread many different paths in their life, and the skills they learn on each journey serve to enrich further accomplishments. To the Asuryani, all avenues of experiences are strewn with dangers, for their minds are capable of depth and understanding that goes beyond the concept of mere human obsession. Such dangers are often likened to traps or nets, waiting to catch the unwary and hold them fast in the chains of compulsion. When the Asuryani mind becomes so completely focused upon one thing that they can no longer make the change to another discipline, they are said to be lost upon the path. This is a frightening and final fate for all Asuryani, and it can befall any of their kind despite the discipline and training that they receive. In the case of the path of the warrior, these individuals are called exarchs, though there are examples that correspond to other paths such as the farseers and the doomed bards of twilight. There are innumerable paths open for the Asuryani to explore, some as common as the path of the artisan, others as rare and dangerous as the path of the seer. Each offers its followers a complete way of life. Those Asuryani who have mastered the less esoteric paths are no less respected than their brethren. After all, the artisans are those who create the craft worlds themselves and their contents, calling masterpieces into being with the care a musician lavishes upon their harp or a warrior upon their sword. It is from the ranks of those upon civilian paths, such as that of the Guardian Militia, are mustered in times of need. It's very interesting, actually, because it lists the path of the warrior here. It lists the path of the outcast. And it says that there are other paths. However, there may be a lot more paths than we even could consider. Let's see what it says under here. So we read most of this. We've got the path of the warrior. There's aspect warriors and exarchs. The path of the seer, farseers, warlock, and spirit seers. There's the path of the outcast. And then others. Let's see, known paths. The path of the seer, path of the warrior, path of the outcast are just three of the many paths to which the Asuryani choose to devote themselves. Some of the other roles are clearly defined with their own traditions and behavioral patterns. Others are less structured and offer less guidance to the individual on how best to protect them. They allow a relative amount of freedom and rely on the inner strength that the Asuryani has already attained during the course of their journey along other paths. These paths involve multiple mundane economic roles such as technicians, civil administrators, bone singers, colonists, traders, explorers, etc. Regardless of their civilian roles, these Asuryani still take place in battle as guardians and in other functions. So, there's really as many paths as you can imagine. If you can think of anything that you could make a lifestyle out of, as long as it offers structure to your life, it could be considered a path. So it's got the path of awakening. It is a path upon which the Asuryani learn how to closely analyze their surroundings and environments. Those who have mastered this path can notice things that would seem insignificant or impossible to see even to a normal Eldari. The path of the awakening is the polar opposite of the path of dreaming, as it focuses on looking without rather than within. It is usually a prelude to the pursuit of the path of the artisan. I need a drink. Okay, refreshed. Time to move on. The Path of the Artisan, a relatively common path for us Yunari. There are many sub-specializations along the Path of the Artisan, such as the Path of the Poet, the Musician, the Sculptor, the Painter, and so on. Even within each of these minor paths, there are conflicting schools of style, such as the School of Hithranir, which teaches that the artist should become as much a part of their art as they can be, with followers often bleaching their skin and marking themselves with stylistic tattoos. I mean, okay. What else? Path of the Botanist. Specialized extension of the Path of Service, which includes gardeners, farmers, and all who concern themselves with tending the enormous quantity of plants living within the craft world. Many of them the last surviving species of one of the lost Eldari homeworlds. Let's see. Path of Command. For those Asynari with a passion for military command and the desire to develop complex strategy and grand strategy. Its members are autarchs who tread this path to better command larger forces. Okay. Tuck says, the Path of Snoop Dogg. Fair enough. Not sure if they would allow it, but maybe. And JP says, have to run. Well, I'm sad to see you go. However, keep in mind, I'm going to be putting together a team. Okay? It's a very specialized team. And you're going to be in it. So, make sure to check back on the Discord. This is a critical time. I'll see you then. Alright, there's the Path of Damnation. Little known about it other than it exists. And the Asynari refuse to speak about it amongst themselves, and certainly not with outsiders. What is known is the Eldari believe that their malevolent Drukhari cousins chose to walk this path after the fall, unwittingly or not. It can be surmised the Path of Damnation allows an Eldari to benefit from the same psychically protected benefits as other paths, but instead of pursuing the productive discipline, they absorb the psychic energies generated by inducing pain and torment in other psychic beings. By feeding on this energy, they can prevent their own soul from being consumed by Slaanesh and maintain their physical vigor unimpeded indefinitely. Then, of course, there is the Path of the Dreamer, so they get to look inwards. They can stay entranced within their own directed dreamscapes for solar days at a time. During these dreams, it is unusual for another dreamer who is more expert at the path to act as a dream watcher to ensure that they do not starve by remaining in their dreamscape for too long a period. There's the Path of Grief, the Path of the Healer, Path of the Mariner, Path of the Outcast, Path of the Scholar, Path of the Seer, Path of Service, Path of Shaping, that's your Bone Singers, Path of the Thought Talker, I guess that's telepaths, Path of the Warrior. Okay, that's a lot. That really is a lot. So, it says down here, Path of the Warrior, Path of the Seer. I didn't see Path of the Seer down there. Path of Shaping, Service. Oh, no, there it is, Path of the Seer. I skipped right over it. Okay, then. Here's what we're going to do. I don't know how I'm going to do this yet, but we're going to make a listing here, and we're going to start trying to make these. Once we figure out exactly how this is going to work, it'll be a lot easier. But the first one is going to be a bear. Okay. Path of Awakening. Path of the Artisan. Path of the Botanist. Botanist. Path of Command, Path of Damnation. Path of the Dreamer, Path of Grief. Path of the Healer, Path of the Mariner. Path of the Outcast, Path of the Scholar. Path of the Seer, Path of Service. Path of Shaping, Path of the Thought Talker. Path of the Warrior. It's the last one. Alright, that is a lot of paths, and now we got to figure out exactly what to do with them. And this is going to be pretty open-ended, so we're going to need some kind of structure to work from. And one thing that I think that I want to do is I want to come back to Pathfinder. I know, ironic, right? We're doing paths, we're going to go back to Pathfinder. There's a reason for this. And that is fighters. And I know you're thinking, it's like, wait, what? Fighters? What do fighters have to do with any of this? Hold on, we're going to get there. So for fighters, actually this might be the wrong one to do, but I'm going to go with it anyway. Fighters, as they level up, they get things like armor training and weapon training. And this allows them to learn different things. So, for example, armor training, honestly, doesn't really matter that much. But weapon training. Starting at the 5th level, a fighter can select one group of weapons as noted below. Whenever they attack with a weapon from this group, they get a +1 bonus on attack and damage rolls. Every 4 levels thereafter, the fighter becomes trained in another weapons group, and they can learn things better. So they get to learn axes, blades, bows, close combat, crossbows, things like that. They also get weapon mastery and advanced training. And with the advanced training comes all kinds of other new abilities. I'm thinking perhaps we should do something like that. Or, if we don't do it that way, there is also the sorcerer path. So when we check sorcerers, we could do it like the training, where they can pick and choose different things that are kind of in line. With sorcerers, however, sorcerers get these things called bloodlines, because the idea of being a sorcerer is that you can cast magic like a wizard. The difference is, wizards have to spend a great deal of time learning how to cast magic. They need to understand how magic works in the natural world. They have to understand the gestures, the interaction with different ingredients. They need to know the words, and then they can conjure forth effects. Sorcerers don't have to do that. Sorcerers have been doing it literally their entire life. They just do. To that end, it's because they usually have some kind of magic in their blood. Somewhere in their genealogy, they have some kind of magical creature. And so they have a bloodline. Sorcerer bloodlines are known as these. There's aberrant, abyssal, accursed, aquatic, things of that nature. We're just going to take a different one. I'll say elemental. So, because they get this, they get an extra class skill. They get bonus spells every other level, essentially. They get a bloodline arcana. They get bonus feats. They get bloodline powers. And this is what I want to look at. So since I picked Elemental, starting at the first level, they can unleash an Elemental Ray as a standard action, targeting any foe within 30 feet as a ranged touch attack. It deals 1d6 points of damage of your energy type, plus 1 for every 2 levels you possess. You can use it a number of times per day equal to 3 plus your charisma, and since you're a sorcerer, you better have a good charisma. However, at level 3, they get elemental resistance. At level 9, they get elemental blast. And at level 15, they get elemental movement. And that changes depending on what you've got. So if you're an air type, your energy type is electricity and you can fly. If you're earth, it's acid, you can burrow. If it's fire, your type is fire and you can move faster. And if it's water, it's cold damage and you can swim faster. And then at level 20, you get elemental body. So, what I think is we want to do something similar to that, and this is true across all of them, like if we go with the Draconic Bloodline. They get bonus spells, bonus feats, they get an Arcana, and then Bloodline powers. At level 1, they get Claws, at level 3, Dragon Resistances, at level 9, a Breath Weapon, at level 15, they get Wings, at level 20, Power of the Worms. So I think this is what we want our path to look like. And I'm thinking something similar to something at the first level and then maybe... I want to say maybe level 5, 10, and 15, and then maybe a capstone at 20. The question is just then, what do we do? And Tuck says, gummy worms? We don't actually have that dragon. There is no gummy worm dragon. Yet. Dun dun dun. I can do that actually. That'd be fun. It breathes sugar! Molten sugar. Okay, but yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Something at level 1, then maybe 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. That might work. The question will then simply become, what do we give them? And that's going to be a bit tricky, because it's where we got to fill it all in, but I don't know, there's a lot to that. Well, let's just start on 1, and we'll go from there. We're going to start on 1, we're going to go from there. So, if we're going to do 1, why don't we pick an easy one? Since the Path of the Warrior is so very, very prominent, we'll start with Path of the Warrior, okay? So, go Path of the Warrior. Okay, and then we're going to go with level 1, level 4, level 8, level 12, level 16, and level 20. Alright, so that is 6 abilities that we got to come up with the path, or for the Path of the Warrior. So let's look into the Path of the Warrior and see what we can find. Because one of them I do believe is going to need us to actually diverge into a specific type of warrior. We may have to spend an extra week on this, actually. So, Path of the Warrior. So, the Eldari as a race are beset on every side by warfare. The Eldari would prefer that it were not that way, for Eldari generations are born all too few and far between, and what remains of the species cannot afford to lose any more of their reduced numbers. Young Eldari often believe that they can rebuild their lost but once glorious empire with fire and passion, but the Seers know well that what remains of the Eldari's ancient civilization is locked in a simple battle for survival. When the Eldari go to war, they do so as a group of specialists who perfectly complement one another's assigned tactical role in combat. Each unit plays its own part with masterful skill, their abilities combining to produce a true symphony of destruction and careful grace that is distinctively Eldari. From the most numerous horde to the mightiest enemy war engine, there is an Eldari squad with the skills and war gear that is perfectly suited to that foe's destruction. Combined with the prescience of the Farseers and the strategic skill of the Autarchs, even a small Eldari strike force can devastate its opponents with before they can muster an effective counterattack. The Eldari martial ideal is to slaughter their foes without suffering a single loss of their own, for the usurpers of the galaxy are many and the remaining Eldari are few. Their lives are far more precious. They cannot afford to throw away their lives in the reckless manner of the brutish warriors who serve the lesser races, like the Monkey and the Orcs. So, right at the gate, we know that they are they are professional soldiers. Which is fine. We can work with that. Then we get to the Aspect Warriors. The Path of the Warrior teaches the arts of death and destruction. Due to the inherent dark side of the Eldari psyche, this path calls to almost all Asuryani at some point in their long lives. Exactly what will draw an Asuryani under the Path of the Warrior to put on their war mask, as the exarchs say, is uncertain. Perhaps it is a recognition of the innate destructive impulse of the dark side of their psyche that only the ritual training and vicious combat of this path can purge. In ages past, the Phoenix Lords taught the arts of war to both male and female Eldari, and as such, Eldari Aspect Warriors come equally from both genders. See? Female representation. Suck it, Games Workshop. As with many of the more complex paths, the Path of the Warrior is divided into many specializations. Each of these is known as a warrior aspect, representing a different facet of the Eldari god of the war Kayla Mencha Kane, and bringing with it unique fighting disciplines, war gear, and abilities. The aspects differ greatly from one another in their methods of warfare and offer many specialist skills, intended to allow them to carry out specific tactical roles in the battlefield. Each aspect present on a craft world maintains at least one aspect shrine, in which its adherents can practice and master their version of the Path of the Warrior. Okay, but what are they? Okay, here we go. Some aspect warriors unique to specific are unique to specific craft worlds. Others are common to almost all of them, including the Fire Dragons, Howling Banshees, Eagle Pilots, Striking Scorpions, Dark Reapers, Dire Avengers, Warp Spiders, Bright Lances, Swooping Hawks, and the most recent to be recovered, the Shadow Specters. So, we are going to have to factor that in. And I already have an idea. The problem is, it's a complicated idea. It's a very complicated idea. We don't have a whole lot of time left. So, what we're going to do is, I think we're going to go ahead and give bonuses. Like, at the very beginning here, at level 1, we're just going to say that if you choose the Path of the Warrior, you'll get an automatic +1 on attack rolls. And let's say a +1 1 on damage rolls plus 1 for every 4 levels after the first. Okay? So you'll get a +1 of your damage rolls as soon as you become Path of the Warrior. And then at level 5, it becomes a +2. At level 9, +3. 13 is 4. 17 is +5. Although, honestly, it's not like it's going to be that much different, but it's guaranteed damage if you hit. So, I mean, that's good. At level 4... what do we want to give them at level 4? So we have already given them a bonus on their, we've already given them a bonus on their attack and damage. So we got their offense set. If we wanted to do this, let's come back to Starjammer and... Oh, JP's already gone. We're going to go to feats! JP loves defeats. That's sad. We're going to look at it. Do we have toughness in here? Okay, you embrace physical resilience. Let's see. For every character level you have, and whenever you gain a level, you gain 1 stamina point. In addition, you gain +4 points to constitution checks to continue running, and to avoid damage from forced marches, to hold your breath to avoid damage. You also gain a +4 bonus to fortitude saving throws to avoid taking damage from hot or cold environments, to withstand the harmful effects of thick and thin atmosphere, to avoid choking when breathing heavy smoke, and to avoid fatigue caused by sleep deprivation. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to say toughness at level 4. Now, what else can we give? So, depending on what you take, like, if you're going to go Path of the Warrior, I would assume that you would want to be a soldier. Now, soldiers, proficiencies, armor, light and heavy, plus shields, weapons, basic and advanced melee, small arms, long arms, heavy weapons, sniper weapons, and grenades. That's pretty much everything, so there's not really a whole lot we can give in terms of proficiencies. That being said, though, there might be a way that we can improve that. What if we look at combat feats? Close combat, combat casting, no. Far shot, no, I don't want that. Proficiencies, no, I don't want that. What I want is for them to be able to... well, no, it's long arm proficiency. That just gives you the ability to use them. Never mind. Opening volley, penetrating attack, shield proficiency. I suppose we could just give it a combat feat, right? Yeah. We need to say combat feat. Alright. So if we do that, we can leave it a little bit more open. We can say at level 1, you're just going to get better... You're going to get better attack rolls and better damage. At level 4, you become more resilient with toughness. At level 8, you are allowed to specialize however it is that you actually want. Which is great. At level 12, however... Aspect. Now, this is where things are going to get a little bit complicated. because there's a lot of aspects. So, fire dragons, howling banshees. Eagle pilots. Striking scorpions. Dark Reapers, Dire Avengers. Warp Spiders, Bright Lances. Swooping Hawks and Shadow Specters. Alright, and the reason this is going to get a little bit complicated is because we need to have basically a separate path for every single one of these. So, like, as soon as you pick one of these as your aspect, you get some kind of bonus from it, and then get further bonuses the further you go. So, why don't we take a look at these? Fire dragons. So the fire dragons who seek to embody the writhing, sinewy dragons of Eldari mythology. No aspect warriors revel more destruction than those who serve the aspect shrine of the fire dragons, taking as their totem in the fierce, fire-breathing creatures of mythology. They epitomize the brutal, wanton destruction of war. When called to arms, their goal is the total annihilation of their foes to the exclusion of everything else. They are aggressive, warlike close combat fighters who utilize heat-based weaponry to destroy enemy armored vehicles and drive the foe from their fortified strongpoints. So they have an unsurpassed mastery of their chosen and highly dangerous weapons, and take savage delight in the devastation they create. For this weapon, they believe that fire dragons are the embodiment of Eldari war god Kayla Mensa Kane, her penchant for destruction. It is said that their exarchs generate a corona of lambent flame around themselves when the battle lust is upon them. Alright. It says their colors are oranges, reds, and yellows. Combat specialty is heavy assault troops. I'm interested, though, what weapons do they usually bring? Because, like, your automatic assumption would be flamers. But I don't know. So, fire dragons take an unbridled, savage delight in the destruction they cause, and nothing short of complete annihilation of the enemy will satisfy these embodiments of war's capability for wanton destruction. They specialize in assaulting enemy war machines and fixed fortifications, as well as rooting out heavily armored infantry and weapon emplacements. In this role, each fire dragon wields a potent fusion gun, capable of reducing an enemy to a cloud of superheated vapor in a second, or a battle tank to a pile of molten slag. Against targets too formidable to be damaged by even these fearsome weapons, they carry melta-bombs, disc-shaped fusion-based explosives which can be attached to any service and detonated on command. However, the short range of their fusion-based heat weaponry limits their effectiveness, especially when speed and tactical flexibility are needed. It is also the reason Fire Dragon aspect armor is thicker compared to that of many of the other aspects, including many spiny protrusions, which make it stiffer and more resilient, so that the wearer can properly close with the enemy and deliver death and destruction upon him. Alright then. So I have an idea. So, as fire dragons, here's what I think I would like to do. So immediately, what I think that I want to do is for whatever weapon they're holding, I want to add fire to the wielded weapons damage type. I need to move this over a little bit. So this is going to be level 12. This is going to be level 16. And this is going to be level 20. So that means that if you have a fire aspect warrior picks up a weapon, if the weapon is a melee weapon and it does, either your piercing, slashing, or bludgeoning damage, simply by wielding it, they are able to add fire to that weapon. So it'll do slashing and fire, piercing and fire. This will also go ahead, or this will also add to the well, no. Actually, hold on. Maybe I don't want to do that. Maybe I don't want to do that. Adding it to that is cool. But maybe that's the wrong way to go about this. I think this is the wrong way to go about this. Nope, we're not going to do that. I take it back. I don't want to do that. So, instead, what we're going to do is on a critical hit, inflict burning. And burning for how long? I don't think it actually matters how long. Burning is just burning. So, combat conditions. Burning, blinded. Here we go, burning. You take the listed fire damage each round, and you must be extinguished to end the condition. Otherwise, you just keep burning. So, that being the case, when we look at weapons, we've got burn, D8, 4D12. Yeah, okay, here's what we're going to do. Here's what we're going to do. You first pick this up at level 12. I'm going to say... it's going to inflict burning. I would say burning 2d6 plus 1d6 at level 18. Okay. If the weapon already inflicts burn, increase let's see, increase D6 to D8. All right. So that means that if If you're a fire warrior and you're firing a weapon, and it's like a rifle, okay? You hit them with the rifle, it was a critical hit. Don't ask how, they burst into flames. Maybe it was carrying psychic energy with it and you just lit them on fire. Psychers can do that, you know. However, if it was a weapon like, say, this flare gun, which does 1d6, not only do you get to inflict 1d6 points of damage because it's a flare gun, but because you are a fire aspect warrior, you get to naturally light them on fire for 2 more d6s, and because it already does burn damage, you get to increase your d6s to d8s. So now it's 1d6 plus 2d8 burning damage. Now, what else do we got? So we know that these guys go in, and their specialty is to lay waste to just everything. So, because of that, we're gonna go ahead and because they specialize in taking out hard targets, we're going to say every wielded weapon has the penetrating ability? Oh, penetrating special. So, of course, penetrating, let me find it. A penetrating weapon is designed to punch through large objects' outer layers, make it easier to damage them. It ignores an amount of hardness equal to the weapon's level. So if it is a level 8 weapon, that means that if you have damage 8 or less, I get to ignore all of it. And then level 20. What do you get for being level 20 here? Well, it does say that the autarchs, was it autarchs, exarchs? What was it? I don't really care about the history rolls. Here we go. Or no, wait, here we go. It is said that the Fire Dragon Exarchs generate a corona of flames around themselves when the battle lust is upon them. Yeah, okay, so we need to do that. We gotta do that. And I have an idea for that, actually. So if we come to spells, and I'm going to go to the Mystic spell list. Fire, Starstorm. No, nothing in there. Okay. How about this list? Overheat, Explosive Blast, Wall of Fire, Shadowy Fleet, and then we're back to Energy Ray. Okay, how about this then? How about this then? What if we go to Wizards? Shield, 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 shock shield, wave shield, stone shield, shield companion, dream shield, ward shield, fire shield. There we go. Alright, so fire shield. This spell wreathes you in flame and causes damage to every creature that attacks you in melee. The flames also protect you from either cold-based or flame-based attacks, depending on if you choose to cool or warm, or if you choose cool or warm flames in your fire shield. Any creature striking you with its body or handheld weapon deals normal damage, but at the same time the attacker takes 1d6 points of damage plus 1 per point, or 1 point per caster level to a maximum of 15. Okay, that's what we want. So this is going to be a fire shield per Pathfinder. And it can last for 1 round per level. So by the time you get this, you can keep it up for 20 levels. There you go. And that is Fire Dragon. So if you wanted to take that path, at the first level you take it, you're already a better combatant than most. At the 4th level, you are significantly tougher than most people. At the 8th level, you get to pick whatever you want to specialize in, as long as it's a combat feat. Then, if you want to become a fire dragon, you get to add, or you get to set things on fire on crits and burn them really badly. Then you get to melt your way through anything that you're using, and eventually you can just be a walking flame. Which, I mean, that should be really awesome. That being said, however, that is the fire dragons. That is not the rest of them. So we're going to have to go through the rest of these and find out what they're like. Unfortunately, we are out of time for today, so we're not going to be able to go through this. I thought this would actually go a lot faster, but apparently it's not going to. I mean, next up is the Howling Banshees. Let's get a little preview. The all-female, again, female representation, Suck It Games Workshop, who specialize in highly mobile melee combat and represent the Eldari war god Kayla Mensa Kane's ability to instill fear in his foes. The Banshee is the harbinger of woe in mythology. It is fitting that the most feared aspect warriors draw their inspiration from this creature. Lightly equipped armor or warrior women are fearsome melee combat specialists who draw inspiration from the unearthly creature. Yes, but what do they do? Oh, cool, we got a picture of one. That is a really big sword. Also, that hair is going to be so hard to comb out after riding around. Okay. A notable exception to the otherwise genderless meritocracy that is the Eldari, the Howling Banshees are almost always female. This is because the Banshees of legend, the daughters of the crone goddess Moray Heg, are themselves always female spirits. It is possible for males to walk it, though, just extremely rare due to the needed psychological and physical assets amongst most males. But what do they do, though? That's what I want to know. Fast and athletic, they emphasize swiftness of foot, the importance of mobility in hand-to-hand combat when training their aspect warriors. Howling Banshee aspect armor is colored bone white and contrasts sharply with the flaming shock of orange hair that marks each aspect warrior. So, swift and athletic, they specialize in deadly hand-to-hand fighting. They wear armored helmets called Banshee masks that contain psychosonic amplifiers which magnify their keening battle screams into mind-destroying shockwaves. We may have to make some more armor. I didn't think we'd have to make more equipment. We may have to make more equipment because the fire aspect warriors had heavy armor, and these warriors have light armor with sonic abilities. We might have to make more armor. Okay. So they can inflict severe damage to the central nervous system. A full squad acting their mask in unison can cripple an enemy unit before a single blow is struck, leaving them paralyzed and helpless before their onslaught. They utilize shuriken pistols and power swords. This armament enables them to carve through even the toughest enemy armor, and they can bring down things such as Space Marines. Exarchs of the Howling Banshees wield deadly mirror swords, or the dreaded Executioner. So yeah, I'm seeing increases in speed, bonuses to athletics, and of course proficiency in Banshee armor. It's going to get complicated. Okay though, that's going to be for next time. When we get back here next time, we will dive right into them. Maybe we'll make fire dragon armor first, and then we'll handle these guys. I guess we'll see. But for now, I'm gonna take a break. We can't do this all day. I take it back. I could do this all day, but I'm not going to torment you like that. So, if you're enjoying this and you want to see more of it, make sure that you hit the bell icon and subscribe. Do both those things. Actually, you got to subscribe, then you got to hit the bell icon. You can't hit the bell icon first. Tuck says dive into chaos. We're not doing chaos. I don't know if you meant like an actual chaos faction, but we're not doing chaos. Number one, because chaos are like almost inevitably the bad guys. And I don't know what we're going to do if everyone wants to play the bad guys here. Number two, though, and this is actually more important. There is nothing that you actually get from being part of chaos. And what I mean about that is, when you look at, like, Chaos Space Marines, there is, as far as I know, a Chaos Space Marine army for every Astartes chapter. So, like, myself personally, if I was going to play Space Marines, and I really have no interest in playing Space Marines, but if I was going to play Space Marines, I would play Iron Warriors. Just because I love the robots, and Iron Warriors are like almost exclusively Tech Marines, to some degree or another. That being said, the Iron Warriors are the Astartes chapter, and then there is a direct counterpart under Chaos, and I forget who they are. I want to say like the Iron Fist or something? I don't remember. Actually, I could probably look it up. I mean, we are right here. It shouldn't take that long. 40k Wiki, Drukhari, Space Marines, Chaos. Here we go. Chaos Space Marines. Does it give me a list? Yeah, here we go. Iron Warriors. So they once formed the Empire's Legion of Siege troops, fought on hundreds of worlds. Yeah. The entire idea here, they favor heavy weaponry like las cannons, missile launchers, well-equipped assault squads. They also possess the highest number of obliterators among the Traitor Legion. Yeah. Which is exactly what the, well, if these guys are the Iron Warriors, who are the other ones? Imperial Man, no, Space Marines, here we go. Chapters. Absolvers, no. It is Iron, right? That's a lot of chapters. Oh, wait, that's organized into entire categories. Imperial, Inceptors, Inculcators, Invalators. Iron Champions, Crusaders, Iron Drakes, Iron Fists? No, Iron Hands. Iron Hands, that was it. Yeah, Primarch Ferrus Manus. So, I would prefer to play Iron Hands, but they have a direct counterpart in the Chaos Legions as the Iron Warriors. And so too do basically all of them. I mean, if you like playing Grey Knights, the opposite of Grey Knights is Thousand Suns, and so on and so forth. But to the best of my knowledge, there is nothing that actually makes the Chaos Legions different. Like, you could put Iron Hands and Iron Warriors side by side, and the only thing that really changes between them is they don't like each other. One is a loyalist chapter, one is a heretic chapter. The same thing would roughly be true of everything else. We see it with the Eldar, the Drukhari. The Drukhari are basically the same as the Eldar. They're just the opposite. Tuck says, I made a joke and extend the stream for 10 minutes. Well, it's your fault, okay? It's your fault. I'm blaming you for this one. But anyway, yeah, we're not going to do Chaos. And of course, obviously, when it comes to the actual Chaos forces, all the demons and things, no, nobody gets to play as demons. Sorry. Like, the only way that you get to play as a demon is if you roll a Psyker character and your character actually becomes a demon. At which point, I think the campaign is over. But I'm not sure, because, like, obviously you're going to have to either kill everyone around you or you're going to be killed. So yeah, no one gets to play Chaos. Sorry. But if you want to play anything else, like I said, make sure that you subscribe, hit the bell icon, that way you get notified. If you know somebody else, especially in these trying times for Warhammer 40k and, you know, Warhammer in general, what with Games Workshop tearing the entire thing apart and Amazon trying to convert the entire fan base, yeah, let people know that I'm here. We can still have good old-fashioned fun here with the old Warhammer 40k. Or at least as much of the old Warhammer 40k as I understand. Otherwise, though, if you just like what I am doing, then leave a like in the video. Leave a like for me. Okay? I like me. You should like me too. Leave comments down below. Sure, you can leave comments in the chat. You can leave comments in the comment section. But what I would really like you to do is, if you're interested, join us on the Discord. I am putting together gaming groups. I believe that I'm going to have one game starting up here soon. It's going to be Star Trek. But once we get done with that, it'll be open. And if people want to do 40k, if you're interested in a 40k game, get in there now. Like, if I have to run a 12-person game, I will run a 12-person game. I am not afraid, nor am I too proud. I will do it. So, join us on the Discord. I will see you there. If I don't see you there, though, I will see you next week for, I guess, maybe just the rest of the Path of the Warrior. I don't know. Either way, though, I look forward to seeing you then. And until then, take care.